Hey everybody, we've got another video for you guys. Today we're going to talk about the pre-trip on the truck bus. It's going to be geared more towards the CHP portion of it, where we go and renew our licensing. So we're going to cover the pre-trip on the truck bus so you guys can watch this over and over again if you want. We'll break it down into several different segments and we'll make it all work together. So when we first approach our truck bus, we want to look and see how it's sitting. Make sure it's not leaning one way or the other, indicating maybe a flat tire or something wrong with the suspension. So we're looking for that, making sure it's sitting upright and straight. We also want to glance down underneath, make sure we don't see anything hanging down below, puddle underneath there, indicating something's wrong even before we start. And just kind of look and make sure that everything looks good and clear in there. One thing we want to do too, before we even get into the compartment there, we want to check our gas cap. Since we have the keys in our hands already, we don't want to forget it. So we open it up, give it a twist or two, making sure it's secure and in there. Now we'll come back to the front. I'm going to turn on my accessories. Turn my lights on so I can check them. Now as we look, we want to start this in a very systematic way. So we're going to start at the front of the bus. We're going to work from the top all the way down. And we want to be really descriptive in what we're seeing and how we're describing it. We don't want to just call things good or this looks fine. We want to be more descriptive. Again, for CHP, that's what he's looking for. He wants you to tell him why it's good, what makes it good. So we're going to start at the top with our clearance lights, amber in color. We can see they're all operational. They're all working right. We can't really say they're secure yet. We say they appear secure because they're up there, but we can't really call them secure because we're not actually touching them. But we can see they appear secure up there. Then we go to our marquee. It's clear. No appearance of chips or cracks in it. We move down to our windshield. Here we can start to touch things, put our hands on things. My windshield is secure, clean and clear. No chips or cracks in it. We move to our windshield wipers. My windshield wiper has good tension to it. The blade is soft to the touch. It's not dried out and cracked or anything like that. And again, you can call it secure because you are actually touching it and you know it's secure. You know it has good tension to it. You know it's soft to the touch and not dried out. Working our way down again, we can see the front grille. We can call that secure. It's clear of any debris. We move down to our bumper. It's secure on both sides of it. Our license plate, it is secure and visible. We don't really have to mention our bike rack for that, for the CHP, but for a normal pre-trip, we go through the normal procedure of checking it out, making sure it's operational. It is secure to the bus as well. And again, we can continue to check down again, make sure we didn't see anything down there. Nothing has changed. So now we'll move to one of the sides. And again, so part of the front of the bus, we're just covering pretty much from the light, or excuse me, the mirror on around to the other mirror. So we can call our mirror secure. My bottom mirror allows me to see, my convex mirror allows me to see all my blind spots. It's secure, clear of any debris, no chips or cracks. My flat mirror on top is secure. It allows me to see 200 feet behind me. So the arm is secure to the bus and the housing is secure to the arm. My crossover mirror is secure to the bus. The mirror is secure to the arm. It's clean and clear, no chips or cracks in it. My four-way light I can see is secure to the bus. It is working. My tires, I'll move down to my tires here. I can check my lug nuts are secure, no rust. They are tight to the touch. My hub seal, no leaks in it. Specifically, my rim is clean, no welds, no cracks, no rust in it. My valve stem is secure, no leaks in it. My tire, the wheel, the sidewalls of my tire, got a bug on me. No bubbles, no abrasions. The tire itself, the tread depth, even wear all the way across the tire. We want to make sure on the front that we've got at least 4 30-seconds of tread depth on there for the front. For the front, we know also no recaps, no retreads on it. We check our mud flap. It is secure. Again, you want to put your hands on everything. If you're going to call it secure, you got to show that it's secure. And then we check inside at our, I don't know if you can get in there. We're going to check everything we can see in here. Can you get down in there? Yeah. So we want to make sure there's no cracks in our leaf springs in there. Again, you'll have your flashlight in there. You can really look, but you want to make sure there's no cracks in there. They can be really small, so you want to be sure you check really careful. You can check your brake line, make sure it's intact, no leaking in there. And again, back to the front so we can see our four-ways are working, our headlights are working, our high beams are working. Then we come to this side too, and we're going to do the same thing over there. We're going to check our mirror. The arm is secure to the bus. The housing is secure to the arm. The mirrors are secure inside. Our convex mirror, we can see all our blind spots. Our flat mirror, we can see 200 feet behind us. They are clean and clear, no chips or cracks on them. We're going to do this tire exactly the same way we did the other one. We're going to check all the lug nuts for tightness, no rust, the hub seal, that there's no leaks. The rim itself, there's no welds, no cracks, it's not rusted. The valve stem, it's secure, no leaking. Everything on the tire just the same. The sidewalls, the tread depth, again, no recaps or retreads on them. Want to check our antenna too, make sure it's secure. Just give it a little twist, make sure it's secure on there. All right, so we just finished the front portion there. Now we're gonna jump under the hood here. So let's let our bike right down so we can open this up. We're gonna go under the hood, check all of our fluids, check for any wires that may be misplaced, hoses that are unattached, whatever it may be. So when we get here, we're gonna see our coolant reservoir. We can see the fill line right here and the add line. So you can give that a shake and see where the fluid is. You can see it bouncing right there. So we're right at the full line, so we know we're good there. Our power steering fluid is right here. We have our maximum line and our minimum line. Very easy to see where your fluid lies there. With your brakes, you want to check both front and rear chambers in there to make sure there's fluid in each one of them, which there is. Now just beyond that, we can see our oil and our transmission fluid. The oil being the yellow in color, the dipstick, and then the red dipstick being the transmission fluid. And just beyond that is our engine oil fill. So with your oil, you want to check that. Obviously when your engine's off, you can give it a wipe down, and you can see on the dipstick the add and the full marks on there. We want to get a good reading of that and see we fall right in the middle there. So that's exactly what we want. Now the transmission fluid, we can check it now, but we also want to check it once your engine's been running for a while. It's expanded and you'll get a truer reading of it. But it reads the same. The dipstick shows just the same, and add and a fill for that. So you can see a hot and cold reading. Now, once you've checked all those and you're good to go on that, you can also look around and make sure you don't see any leaks coming out of any of the hoses. You don't see any wires out of place. You want to make sure all your caps are on and tight and secure. Your washer fluid, you want to make sure you have fluid in there and it's secure on there. Like I said, you want to make sure there's nothing leaking, no hoses out of place. You can see your belt right here. You can give it a little pull, make sure there's not too much play. You don't want any more than, say, ½ an inch of play there. You want to make sure the tension is good, not too loose. You want to check, make sure there's no cracks or tears that you can see in there. You can see, like, your alternator, is it mounted properly? Is it secure in there? You can check anything in there that may be out of place, may seem like it's not secure in any way. And then on the other side as well, you'll come over here and check for the same thing. You're looking to just make sure there's no wires that are out of place or just hanging down, disconnected, hoses that are loose, or any engine parts at all that aren't secure, seem out of place, that may cause a hazard while you're out there driving. Okay, so that completes our entire front portion of the truck bus for your pre-trip. So everything in totality here is what you want to cover when you're doing your pre-trip on the truck bus, especially for CHP. All the language and the lingo's in there. So after this, we're going to switch to one of the sides of the bus and continue our pre-trip there. Okay, now we're going to start on the side portion of our bus for the pre-trip on the truck bus. So we pretty much covered right up to the mirror here on the front part. So now for the side, we're going to pick up from here on down to the back end. So here we're going to talk about our door. This is our door. My door handle is operational. I have a handle here to help me get in. It is secure. My step is secure. My window is operational. It's clean and clear. No chips or cracks in it. Now we want to talk about our windows, and again, putting your hands on everything. If you're going to call it secure, you got to touch it and verify it's secure. So our windows are secure. They're clean and clear. They have no chips or cracks in them. The entire part of our bus, we're checking again from top to bottom, looking for any damage that we may see on there. And if you see something, you want to be sure you report it. And this is important too on the CHP test. If you take the bus down there and it has some sort of a defect in it, a chip or a dent or a major scratch in it or something like that, you want to make sure you tell him that you see that, and you would note it in your book. Even if it's your bus that you've pre-tripped every single day for the last 2 years, and you know when it happened, you know how it's reported, the CHP officer does not know that. So he wants you to tell him, I see this damage here, I would report it and document it. So you just want to be sure to cover that too. Now as we work our way down, we're going to check our AC grate. We want to make sure it's secure with all the screws in place and it's clear of any debris. You don't want any debris getting sucked up in there and being pinned to it. That's a hazard. We want to check our reflector and our stickers. Call it secure. We have to touch it. It is operational, amber in color. Our rear tire here, we're going to talk about the wheel well is secure to the bus. And for our rear tire, very similar to the front, but there are some differences. With the rear, with the tread depth, we want it to be even all the way across, just like at the front. On here, the tread depth though is going to be 230 seconds, as opposed to 430 seconds up front. On the rear back here, we can have recaps and retreads back here. Those are the two big differences there. So you want to be sure you talk about your tread depth being even, 2/32 of tread back here. Recaps and retreads are allowed in the rear. We're going to check the sidewalls of our tires, make sure there's no bubbles or abrasions, make sure the inflation of them is good. Want to make sure we check our rim. Again, just like up front, no welds, no cracks, no rust. We're going to check our lug nuts for tightness and our lug nuts for tightness. Make sure there's no rust on those either. Want to check both of our valve stems. You can feel the front one here and the rear one up here. Want to check your mud flap, that it's secure. We want to check the overall condition of the tire. Check for any nails, screws, anything that might have been picked up. We want to get a good visual of our rear tire, so you have to get down in there and look. And we'll get a good look from the rear as well when we get to the rear side. We can look, want to make sure you have at least 2 inches of spacing in there. Adequate space in case there is an issue with that inside tire. You have room in between there. We want to make sure as you can see the camera down there, our drive shaft, we want to make sure we have the brackets in place, that they are secured to the bus, and that everything looks good inside there. On the other side, we'll be able to see the exhaust better. Want to make sure we check the leaf springs, make sure there's no cracks in those. Our shocks, if we can get in there and see them. So once we've covered all of that, we want to continue out here. Our bus ID, it's got to be legible and visible. Want to make sure that's not covered by one of the ads. If it is, you got to let us know. Our rear AC grate here, make sure it's secure and all the screws are in place and it's clear of any debris as well. Our exhaust, you want to make sure, now when this is running, you obviously don't want to touch it. Make sure it's secure and in place. Our side reflectors and reflector stickers, those are secure and in place. All right, now we're to the rear of the bus. So again, as always, we're going to start at the top. So we're going to start at the top with our clearance lights. They are red in color, they're operational, we can see them all on. We can see our brake light, one of our brake lights right underneath it. Our rear window here, it is secure, it's clean and clear, no chips or cracks in it. Check the rest of the body of the bus, make sure there's no damage to it. We can see our California ID. Our license plate is secure. Our license plate light is operational and secure. Our rear bumper is secure, and our reflector stickers are in place as well. Now we can get down here and look and get a better shot of in between our tires and as well as the rest of the vehicle. But again, you want to make sure you have the 2 inches of clearance in between the tires back there. And you can look, make sure you have nothing caught in between them. And you're looking for anything hanging down, any damage that maybe was unseen, anything that might seem out of the ordinary. Now with the rest of our lights, so we've got our four ways going. Once you've established that, so now we've covered the four ways in front and the four ways in back. Those are covered. So you'll tell the CHP officer, I know my front four ways and my rear four ways are working. Now you want to check each turn signal individually. So you'll just tell him, I'm going to go up, turn my left turn signal on. You want to show him it's working in the front, and you want to show him it's working in the back. Once you do that, you'll just tell him I'm going to check my right side. You'll go up, turn on your right turn signal. Again, you want to show him it's working in the front, and you want to show him it's working in the back. Those you can check all by yourself, your four ways and your turn signals. When it comes to your brake lights and your reverse lights, you're going to need to ask his assistance, which he's more than willing to do. So all you have to do is to say, officer, with your help, I'll check my brake lights and my reverse lights. And he will just stand right back here. You'll go forward, you'll hit your brake lights, He will check all of them to make sure your brake lights are operational. He'll give you the thumbs up. Once you do that, you'll put it in reverse, and he will check to make sure your reverse lights are operational. Once they are, if they are, he'll give you the thumbs up, and that covers all of your lights. So again, it's up to us to verify our four ways, front and back, and our turn signals, left and right, to the front and to the back, are working. He will help us with the brake lights and the reverse lights. And that's the rear of the bus. All right, guys, we're almost done. So we have the last side of the bus here. So once you come around the back side, you tell the officer, okay, officer, I'm gonna do this side exactly the same way I did the other side. If you did a good enough job, he may prompt you to just forget about it. Let's move on to the inside. He may, depends. If he doesn't, if he just wants you to continue on, then we continue on and do this side exactly the same way we did the other side. You'll check everything you did from top to bottom, tires, all the way to the inside of the tires, and all the way down. So that concludes the outside of the truck bus. See you guys. All right, everybody. So we're going to finish this pre-trip up. We're going to go inside the bus now and wrap everything up inside there. So just before we go inside, we're going to check our doors and get that done too. So again, we want to put hands on and say our doors are secure, they're in place, glass is clean and clear, no chips, no cracks in it. The seals are secure and in place. They have good flexibility. They're not all dry and cracked out. Our window is secure, clean and clear, no chips or cracks in it. As we look inside, we're checking our stairwell to make sure it's clear of any debris, no tripping hazards, nothing in the way. We can see that clean. We'll check our handrails to make sure they're secure and in place. And as we come up, we come inside and we can check the rest of our handrails in here, as well as the modesty panel. Now, if you want to come in, when we come in, we're going to check the rest of the bus. We can get a quick glance inside and see the aisleways are clear of any debris, no tripping hazards, nothing like that. So once we get inside, we can start checking a number of things. We're going to start with the emergency window. We're going to look for the stickers. We see stickers are legible, they're in place, they're not peeling off, coming apart. We're going to open them up and push out to make sure our windows are accessible. We have 1, 2, 3 in this bus, in the truck bus, so we've got 3. We want to make sure the emergency windows are operational on all 3 and the stickers are visible and clear on all 3. Want to check our emergency hatch. Open it up. Push the red button to release it. Make sure that we have access to it should we need to get out. And then we secure it back in place. Just like that. We check our seat belts. For the purposes of the CHP test, we're going to tell the officer, in my bus, I do my pre-trip, I check every seat belt every day. For the purposes of the test, I'm going to check 3 for you. So, like I said, we check them all every day. But for the purposes of the test, we check 3. So, just showing that they do lock, they do become secure when you use them. We're checking our overhead handrails for securement, making sure none of the screws are coming loose, none are coming wobbly. As we work our way down, now we'll see the lift here. So for CHP purposes, we do not have to operate the lift for him at all. So that is something else entirely. If you do have questions about the lift or any of the securement equipment, feel free to come and let us know. We can answer any questions. We can go over anything. But again, for the purposes of the CHP inspection, you do not have to operate the lift or talk about the equipment. Stand by, there'll probably be a video dealing with all this said stuff that we won't cover. So that includes your tie downs, your loops, but again, you do want to make sure you have your different attachments for your scooter and for your tie downs. One thing we want to check too is our door. So we can do it any number of ways. You're just making sure that you get the release of it. So however you want to do it, if you want to start it closed or open, you're just checking to make sure the release allows you to open and close them freely. So that's what you're checking there. First aid kit. We want to be sure that it is removable, which it is. We want to open it up and make sure we have 16 unopened units. You can count them, make sure they're all there. We want to check the seal also. Make sure the seal is intact and in place and doing its job. We don't want moisture to come in there and dry everything out. We want to make sure all of our vehicle information is inside the envelope. Checking to make sure. And we check this each and every time we're doing a pre-trip. As we keep coming up, we'll see our 292. We see it's in place. We can see who inspected it, the date, and we know it's good for up to 13 months from the date. So we want to check and make sure that that's up to date, it's current. Our vehicle registration, wherever it may be, it's usually in this passenger side visor. Want to check and make sure it's in place. Our triangles, want to make sure that we're checking at least one of them every single day. It's better to check them all, especially if you're not in the same vehicle. You never know which one got checked by the driver before you, but you just want to put them together, make sure the screw is in place, it's not leaking any sand, all the little kickstand legs are in place. And then you tell the officer during the inspection, if you were to deploy this, you would walk out on the street with it in front of you like this to let oncoming traffic have a better chance of seeing you. And our fire extinguisher. We want to talk about the fire extinguisher. We want to get it out and hold on to it. We don't want to just point at it and talk about it. We want to get it out, look at it, look at the expiration on it, and we have a year from the date that it's marked here. It's good for 1 year. We want to make sure that it's in the green. We want to make sure the pin's in place and the tag holding the pin is in place. We want to make sure we check the hose, that there's no blockage in it. We want to talk about how even though we're only required to have a 4 BC, we have a 40 BC. And it is inspected by the state fire marshal. So you want to talk about all those things, getting it out and holding it and showing him exactly what it is you're looking for. As we come into the driver's seat, we're going to talk about some things in here. We're going to start up the vehicle, make sure the radio's off. So we're going to check a number of things. We want to check our AC for the rear, get it going, test it, make sure it's blowing. I can feel it right now, it feels great. Want to check your front AC. Make sure you've got AC up here with the driver's compartment. Want to make sure your defrost is working, so switch it to defrost and verify that your defroster is working. We want to check our windshield wipers and the wiper fluid, and we've got it operational there. We want to check our interior lights. So I'm going to close the door real quick and turn on my lights. Make sure my interior lights are all working. They are all on. We're going to check our heater. So I'm going to flip on the heater. I can hear it start up. We can go back there and look at it. I can feel it on. I can hear it on. Our fan is working. We also want to check our interior lights. So I'm going to turn on my lights. Check my dome light inside here. Make sure it's operational, working. My turn signals, I'm going to make sure that they are working. I can see them operating. My left one, my right one. Let me do my four ways. So I do have the notification of my signals working in there. Let's see, my parking brake light on. My mirror control right here for my mirror adjustment. Again, these are all things you want to point out to the officer. He wants to know that you know where everything is in here to operate the bus safely. You also want to go over your parking brake, show them where your parking brake is, your service brake, your accelerating pedal, your parking brake release. Again, these are all things that you want to talk to him, that you know how to operate the vehicle. Your steering wheel adjustment, your gear shifter. You want to talk about your RPMs, your miles per hour, your fuel, your oil, your battery, and your temperature. You would talk to them about all those, that you can identify them, well, what's what. Okay, what we want to check too while we're here is we want to check our mirror. We want to tell him about our mirror. This is our passenger mirror. It's secure, it's clean and clear, has no chips or cracks in it. I can use this to see behind me through my fisheye back there to traffic behind me, as well as seeing my passengers inside too. So you want to be sure to mention that to him too. He wants to hear that. Also, while we're here and we can turn our power on, we want to check to make sure our lights for our stairwell are working. So there's our stairwell light there, and we have two down below here too. Want to make sure they're working. I can see them both on. So we want to talk about the lights here too. Again, we've already talked about the cleanliness and how it's clear of any debris. We want to talk about how it's lit up for everybody to see. So now we'll just continue on. Now we're going to have to be turning the accessories on and off quite a bit here to cover them all, but this is what's expected from you. Officer Mata wants you to be able to tell him what most, if not every single one of these lights are. So we're going to go through them real quick here. So the first one on top there, the yellow one, is your overspeed light. Then we have our parking brake light. The next one, the left one, is a radiator light, followed by the seat belt light, and then your red engine light. Our engine down light. Then we've got our maintenance lights with your oil change and service engine lights. We've got our yellow engine light on. Our RPM down. And our regen lights, green and red. We have our ABS light right there. So those are all the lights that you'll need to talk about and tell him about. And to wrap things up, we also want to talk about our seat. This is our seat. Our seat adjustment. Our seat belt.
Thank you.
We want to show him that these are operational, functional, and our seatbelt cutter. We want to let him know that we do have one and we know where it is. So that about wraps everything up here. Last thing you want to do at the final part of your test is give the old horn test. Let them know I'm done, I'm finished. That's the period at the end. So thank you guys. If you have any questions, let us know. Come to us anytime. We might make a video about it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.